All right, so I am currently surrounded by people who keep losing weight and taking care of themselves like mature adults, and it's really annoying. So we've got Derek, who's, those of you who have listened and kept up with us, you know that he's this past year done a ton of exercising and eating better, and he's lost a ton of weight. And for a rare moment of seriousness, he looks fantastic. And now Dan Phillips, who, Dan, I never thought that you were a big dude, but I can already see in your face you've lost a bunch of weight too.
Yep, and I never really was much of a big dude, but I started getting a little rounder in the midsection, so I wanted to shed that. So
I mean, I can see it in your face, even though your beard looks trimmed up too, but you just look like you've taken off some weight there too.
No, definitely. It's noticeable. Thanks.
How you feeling?
Good, real good. I like it. It's been a kind of a journey, but Derek and John with all their running kind of inspired me to start doing the same. So it's been going good. Like it, feel good.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think a couple of days ago, I posted after I went on a run, and I was like pushing myself because I kind of been half butting it because I changed my diet and I've just been tired and stuff. But I put in the post, I was like, John and Dan are pushing me. So like every time they post, not that I want to get into where all three of us are posting every day, that would be stupid, but like every once in a while when we post, it like pushes and it's a reminder of like why we're doing this. So it's good.
Awesome.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, here we are, episode 160 of Fathers of the Grind or Fathers of the Exercise. I don't really know what we are anymore.
Well, I mean, if you're grinding the right way, you're exercising.
That's true.
You can do it both ways. So.
That is very true. That's what she said. My name is Tim. My name is Tim Nesta. I'm here with Derek Teague, as always. And joining us this week, yet again, is Dan Phillips. He's going to help us review some stuff and share some awful opinions. Thanks for being here, Dan.
Yep. Thanks for having me again, guys.
Derek, are you moving furniture? What's happening right now?
It's people talking.
Oh, okay. Cool.
There's Emily. Say hi, Emily.
Hey, Emily.
She sounds like an old man. She's sick. Say hi. Your brother says hi. Say hi. No, you're prettier than you are.
You gonna keep Rocky out here with you?
Yeah, I can.
Are you sleeping out here or in the bedroom?
Out here.
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
Wake you up if you gotta go pee.
They talk nonstop.
Man, that's what decades of smoking will do to a person, right there.
Yeah, no kidding. A little bit.
All right, well, we're glad that Dan, you're here to join us this week, and Derek, I'm glad you're here, despite the fact that most of your family has. Was that me?
No, she just said, "Be quiet. You dress gay."
Yeah. I dress gay?
No, she's talking to me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. All right.
I was gonna say maybe, but I feel like my Al Borland look I've got going on right now is not super gay. I feel like it's
it's me and my clothing. In fact, I have a story about that real quick. I promise it won't be that long. So last week I went to Emily's game. Emily has a new coach, right? He's actually kind of attractive, Shush. I'm not saying I'm attracted to him. Get out of here, old man.
It was right after she said you dress kind of gay. I'm just saying.
Right.
No, anyways. So she's got a new coach. He's kind of this attractive guy. And that's your mom's words, not mine. Attractive guy. Well, anyway, so I'm at the game. I'm walking in. I'm wearing I got some kind of short shorts. I'm wearing a tight shirt. And I see this guy dressed kind of similar to me.
No, you don't get to push through that in the story. Why are you dressed like that?
Hold on. So anyways, I see this guy coming in the gate to the game, and I'm like, man, he dresses good. He's dressed like me. He's wearing short shorts. He's wearing a tight shirt. I'm like, he dresses real good. He looks good. But not in a gay way, just in a, like, I'm respecting the way he dresses. Shush, you old man. Compared to me. Anyway, so I'm over there watching the game. Shush, Emily. I'm watching the game with Megan. And she starts talking about the new coach. She's like, at first when I saw him, I was like, this guy's really handsome. Why would they assign him to coach a bunch of like 15-year-old girls? And then I looked over and I realized he's sitting right next to the guy that I said dressed attractive. And she goes, it's because they're gay. I'm like, oh my God, I dress like a gay guy.
Our coach is gay.
Your coach is gay. You didn't know that?
No, that's so cool.
Coach is gay.
That's so cool.
Tell Sam.
Do not tell Sam. Do not tell Sam. Mom didn't, I just remember Mom didn't want me to talk about this. And I'm putting it on the internet.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I dress gay apparently.
So can we go back to the fact that you just normally wear short shorts and a tight t-shirt? Is that really a thing?
Think like John Stockton. I have a pair of shorts. I have actually 2 pair of shorts that are like.
So they're like the normal size shorts. They're not like hanging down below your knees.
Yeah, but they're like up like
They
mid thigh.
go up to like here.
That's a little much.
They're a little higher than that.
That's
They
kinda
show
like
off
80s,
my
80s
Yeah.
level shorts. Yep.
So he looks like a gay male.
You have
He
a
does.
great voice.
Well, we have
right now.
confirmation, I guess.
There it is.
Shut up.
You are my daughter, so that would make me not gay.
Actually, you could have a kid and then be gay.
Okay, bye.
True.
Like,
Things change.
He's correct.
Donating.
Okay, bye. I love you though. You're still my favorite out of the
He
3.
just didn't want his daughter to say the word. All right.
This is unbelievable. This might be just as great as having Eli here.
It might be. It might be. For those who are just listening, that voice you heard in the background, that's Derek's daughter, who's an avid smoker or sick or something.
Dad, give me another 6. We're out of 6, Dad.
You dress like a gay guy, Dad.
Dress gay, Dad.
Believe me, I would know.
I love it.
All right. Well, let's
All right,
jump
let's
into
get on
talking
with the
about let's talk about the Division 2, which is now out for everyone, not just for those who are living the high life like Dan Phillips playing it like on Tuesday or whatever.
Yep.
But for the rest of us, it is now available as well. So I wanted to just get your initial impressions of what you've played so far, and we'll let our guest Dan go first. What's just before we get into any super detailed stuff, what's your overall impression of this game? It's a sequel. We got to play the beta a little bit. How you feeling about the Division 2 overall?
Overall, initial impressions are really good with it. I kind of knew what to expect after playing the first one a little bit, but I didn't get too far into the first one. So I never really hit that end game or hit that grind towards the end. I just didn't have as much fun with the first one. But initially, so far, it just seems like it's got your typical Ubisoft kind of format with a bunch of stuff to do on the map and throughout these areas. And as you level up, you can move on to more difficult areas. And the story missions have been interesting enough. I like what's going on with the story and all that. It's interesting, but I'm nothing like earth shattering, but it's the gameplay so far that's been a lot of fun. Having a good time with it. Seems like plenty of stuff to do, and for a game as service right away at launch, I've ran into minimal bugs. I've heard there's a lot of different kind of ones out there. I haven't personally ran into anything. A couple crashes, but stuff like that's to be expected.
Okay. All right, good. What about you, Derek? What's your initial impressions of Division 2 so far?
Well, I liked the first Division. Wasn't like obsessed with it. I wasn't in love with it. I got, I think, to level 27, so I put in some good hours. I was right before you beat the game or whatever. So I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like obsessed with it like Destiny or Destiny 2. But so far, I've only put maybe 2 hours into this new one. I did play the beta, but only a little bit. Because as soon as I started, I was like, oh, it's just a Division. Which, I mean, again, I get it. It's a sequel. That's what you get. But I didn't right off the top notice any major changes. Even with this one, and I think it's because I'm just not far in, I don't notice any major changes. Like, to me, the game looks – I'm playing on Xbox One X. I think it looks okay. Remember, I'm a little bit harsher than you guys, but I think it looks okay. I think it plays good. But, again, I don't feel like it's much different than – the original as far as how it plays. There probably are some subtle improvements that I haven't noticed. But But that's about it. I've only done, I think, a couple main missions. I've done a couple side missions. I did notice, like, when you're just running around the world, it seems a little bit more alive. Like, there's more enemy encounters. There's more stuff to do than the original Division. And that was one of my biggest pet peeves with the original one, is the world just felt dead and very boring. And I get, like, with the setting and what they were going for, that's kind of all they could do. Whereas so far, again, haven't explored a lot. The little bit I've played of this Division 2, I feel like the world's a little bit more alive, more active.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that better.
What would you guys say what was the biggest gripe that you heard about the Division 1? What was one of the biggest things with Division 1?
I felt like it was impossible to play solo. Like, I would try to play it solo, and you just get destroyed in, like, 2 seconds.
At a certain point, right? Because I think I got to the upper teens. I think I was, like, level 16 or 17 when I stopped playing that game. That's about the time when some of the missions became really tough to play by yourself. I mean, you can still do it, right? Yeah. With the right perks and dropping a turret in the right spot. But it was tough. You either had to be really good or just be okay with dying a few times with each mission. So,
and I do feel like these games, like Division and Division 2, are much harder than, like, Destiny 2, and even Anthem. And what I mean is, like I can play Destiny, Destiny 2, and Anthem all with randoms and have little to no frustration at all. I can just go into any mission, and I'm probably going to succeed. Yeah, you'll die maybe a couple times on a hard strike or something like that. But overall, most of the time, you don't fail. In the Division, I failed a lot with randoms. And I felt like it was because you really do need that, like, communication and teamwork, because the AI doesn't miss, and they'll take you down real quick.
Yeah,
it's got really strong AI in it, and like Derek said, it does have a lot of challenge to it. I've heard that the entire game up to the end game's pretty well playable solo. I've been playing the majority of it solo so far, and to me, it's got a real good challenge to it. And I have died and had to retry a few missions a few times, and they are tough because it does have really smart AI in it, but. If you are going to play this with people, like Derek says, you have to have communication. The more people you get going in a squad, the more difficult everybody is. You get more, the enemy just gets more aggressive as far as the AI. So if you're not working well together, then you get overpowered really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, the level that got me in the beta, and then again when I hit it in this, this weekend, was there's an enemy named Coyote, this lady who's got an agent captive. There's an encounter. It's not the very final encounter, but it's close to the end. And it's where you're at the top of a stairway. So they're all funneling right to you, which should make it pretty easy, except there's these two guys who keep sending these remote control cars at you. So while you're trying to shoot everybody and take out the cars on time, that one got me every time. There's certain setups where I'm like, man, if I had another person who could run down and flank from the side or something. So yeah. I think it's soloable so far. I'm only level 8 or 9. But yeah, that certainly is one. For me, the one that I heard the most was the bullet sponge enemies, with how this realistic world, and yet you'd have to pump a bunch of headshots into even small enemies just to kill them. I would say for the most part, they've at least adjusted it a little bit. If you get some good headshots off on standard enemies, they'll go down pretty quick.
That's still based off the level, though. Like if you're a level 4 going against level 6 enemies, you have to shoot 2 clips in them to bring them down if you're fairly accurate. But it's not a knock, but that's my point.
But I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. I think the first division
it's not nearly as spongy as the first one was.
I think it's less spongy.
But here's what I like too: with the bosses, I understand they should be tough to take down, but they are just coated in armor now. And as you unload on them, you actually see armor pieces coming off. And you start to see skin exposed. You're like, boom, that's where I'm shooting next, because that actually starts to take their health down faster. So I think they've addressed it in some smart ways where it can still be an RPG. It's not just a straightforward one headshot, one kill shooter, but it does feel a little bit better.
And if you want that, that's the thing. Like the Division has to be this way, because if the Division was a realistic shooter and it didn't have this strong RPG elements, it would literally be a Ghost Recon clone. Like Ghost Recon Wildlands is a co-op stealth action experience where you can one-shot people.
Totally
it's
agree.
more realistic. So
That's a good recommendation for folks who are playing Division and don't love the RPG elements, especially the way you shoot enemies. Go play Ghost Recon Wildlands. Great game, fun with friends. Go do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally agree
But
with that.
you know, at least though in this one, like you were saying, when you do shoot them, it does feel like you're doing that damage to them. And you know, when I'm fighting enemies around my level, you know, 2 headshots and they're dead. So it's feeling good. I like it.
Or if you have the right gun, like I just got a sniper rifle I finally like. I haven't liked a lot of the scoped rifles I've got, but I finally got one I like, and you can take them down in one shot if you get a good one against the standard enemies at least. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really good. I like the crafting and stuff. My memory fails me a bit with the first Division, but so maybe the crafting and all that stuff is exactly the same. It feels new to me, so I don't know. Maybe they just tweaked it a bit. I'm not sure.
I think it might be, and you said this while we played for the brief time that we did. You're like, I'm loving all this loot. Like, I think you just get more loot.
Yep.
So you can destroy more items, and if you destroy more items, you get obviously
there's
more
loot
material.
everywhere.
Well, yeah, and it's not just items either. I mean, it's like crafting materials and stuff, and like it really feels like it rewards exploration in this one. Like I'm looking in every building, climbing every ladder.
Me too. I look in every corner because there's always a little suitcase or book bag or something that maybe it's only got like plus 10 food or something, but I know I'm going to use that at the next control point. So what they have in this game too, for those who are listening who haven't played, like Dan described, you've got this overall map where there's lots of stuff to do. You've got your main missions you can go to, your shelters or your settlements you can go to. And then they have these control points that essentially just walking into that area or running into the area initiates a kind of side mission where you're trying to take over this control point. So you wipe out the enemies and then you regroup yourself and then hold off a counterattack. And once you do that, now your side controls that control point. And in order to keep it strong and keep it going, keep it from being taken over again, you have to keep supplying them with resources you find, food, water, and like components. I forget what they're called, these little building components. And so for me, everything you collect has value. So either I'm going to collect stuff to make a gun or a piece of armor with, or I'm going to collect stuff to give to a control point captain and give to them. So I have found the loot to be very satisfying. Just about every enemy either refills your med kits and your grenades or ammo, or they provide you with a random item drop, which is always great, or that you just get loot. And so I really love the loot system in this. It's really great. So right now I'm feeling that itch being scratched more so than like Anthem didn't really have that strong of a loot system. I didn't think it was there, but it's not super strong.
Well, it wasn't super interesting either, was the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and this one, there's, you know, your basic types of weapons, and they're all realistic weapons and guns, but you have a lot of different variants of it. And then there, you know, a lot of the armor and stuff can be parts of different sets that do different things, give you different bonuses. So there's a lot of good RPG elements behind everything that's going on within the loot, and they keep giving you things to piece that together in different and interesting ways. So I don't know. I think the loot game is really strong so far in this, and I hope it keeps going.
I agree. And I do think the shooting feels better in this game than I remember it feeling in Division, although it wasn't bad in the first Division.
It's way better than Anthem, too. That's why I stopped playing Anthem. Like, my frustration with Anthem, and I'm not knocking the game now. I still enjoyed it, and I'll still play it every once in a while. But my frustration with it is I felt like there wasn't enough content. There's a decent amount of content once you get through the story, but after you get through the story, it's kind of stupid. And then the other issue is the gunplay became repetitive and just not fun. And I know some of the arguments from like Kyle and stuff is they're like, well, it's about using your superpowers and stuff. Well, I use those and those are fun, but I still want to shoot a gun and it feel good. And 90% of the guns felt like trash. And it's one thing if it's like a lower level gun and you're like, well, as I unlock better guns, I get more accurate. But I wasn't seeing that. Like all I was seeing was this gun is power rating is higher, but it feels exactly the same as the same exact gun, but just a lower power rating. So it wasn't like getting better. It wasn't feeling better. And that was my issue with Anthem. Whereas I'm hoping, again, I'm not that far into the Division 2. That right now I feel like I have more control over my guns. Plus, I'm not flying around everywhere. But I'm hoping as I unlock higher level guns and stuff like that, they'll feel a little bit even. Well,
and you do have
tighter.
mods too. You can you can add the top rail mods. Your there's stuff you can add underneath. I forget what it's called. Like different way. What's that thing called that you hold on to? That's not the
your
magazine
clip, your lower rail, your muzzle, your optics. You can change mods for all those.
Yeah, you can swap all those pieces out. Yep, and it improves the kickback and the stability.
And you can get different mods by doing different things within the game, whether it's like different projects and stuff. They'll unlock new mods. You can unlock some by leveling up perks, and then they equip differently for different weapons, or some are only for specific weapons. But it looks like you're also going to be able to get mods for your equipment and stuff like that too. I haven't unlocked it yet, but there are slots for all that stuff. So there's just a lot of different ways.
You get mods. Did you already say mods for your perks as well? So your perks can get modded as well, which is cool.
Yep. So you can kind of change up everything that you get and kind of custom tailor it. And I think making those builds in the end game are going to be really interesting with all the different options. But you can make the stability of your gun feel better. You can have be more accurate. So I really, and the more I do this and find better mods, the more I feel like I do control those things on my gun. So,
and from what I can tell, for the most part, you'll be able to unlock just about every skill. The difference is you can only equip 2 at a time. So you have to choose what loadout that you prefer. So you'll be able to have the turret or the pulse or the drone or all these different options available to you, but you can equip 2 at a time and decide if you want to be more of a healer in this, with this run with some friends or whatever.
Which it is nice that it does do like that Call of Duty style thing where you can create a loadout. So I mean, if you're have a certain loadout for playing by yourself versus playing like a medic with friends or something, so you can kind of have those quick switches. Really easy. So
which to me tells me there's not really a strong reason for starting a new character unless you want them to look different, you want to experience the story again, or you've got friends you want to play through with again and kind of be at their level. I can't really, maybe there are some things that you have to pick once and can't go back, but from what I can tell, you're going to be able to unlock just about everything with your one character run through and just pick what loadout you want for what experience you want while you're playing, which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Overall, what would you say are the biggest weaknesses, if there are any, for Division 2 so far? Which, by the way, the reviews are trickling in slowly, but they are quite positive initially. But what would you say is a big weakness of the game that you'd like to see addressed?
I'll let Dan go first, just because he's played it more. I don't have really anything right now.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of gripes. I mean, the story isn't the strongest, but it's definitely not why I'm playing the game. The biggest gripes I guess I kind of have is with some of the visuals in it, and I don't know if it's just how the game is designed, but I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, and I've monkeyed with everything between the brightness and the HDR settings, and it really just doesn't change anything. But when you start playing at night, spotlights and darkness and shadows, like a lot of the times I can't even see the enemies or the environment or anything that I'm going up against. If there's a spotlight there, it's just kind of a blinding bright light, and if there's darkness, it's just blackness. And I just feel like there's not much definition, or I just have a hard time when I'm doing missions and things at night. Some of the lighting indoors is okay, but like out in the environment, different sites it's been troublesome for me. So a lot of times I'm seeing an enemy and they'll have their health bar over their head. Well, I'm just shooting under their health bar. I can't even see an enemy.
Assuming that there's someone there.
Yep, and I'm just waiting for my crosshair to turn red.
So even like an indoor mission where it's kind of shadowy but not dark, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, those are better, but like I did play the beta on the Xbox and the PlayStation, and I thought the lighting was a little better on the Xbox, but I didn't notice as much issue in the dark when I was playing at nighttime on the Xbox. But that's just kind of the main issue I've had with it so far. And then, like I said, cranking up my brightness just makes everything look very washed out, and then I can finally see something. But that's not. But it doesn't look good when you're playing the rest of the game.
Oh, by the way, there is a photo mode in this. I think Ubisoft has photo mode in just about all their games now. And so I tried it out a little bit. And since it is a game that you can't pause, it's a little bit of a moving photo mode, kind of. So you can get your character set where you want them to be, but they're not going to freeze frame like most single-player photo modes let you do, because it's a living public world. And so, but anyway, they do have a photo mode. I haven't checked out all the options, but for those of you who like that, it's there. For me, I have noticed some of the visual issues. Overall, I think, oh, this is a good looking game. And then there's times when I'm like, that texture is pretty bad. Or sometimes like when I'm leaving the theater is the main settlement that I tend to spawn in and out of most of the time right now from where I am in the game. And as I'm leaving the theater, there's a couple of billboards. There's even a sign on the side of the truck that has to move as you leave. And for some reason on the first load, it's very pixelated and blurry, almost like someone resized a small thumbnail to try to be really big. It looks really bad. But then if I die and respawn again or just fast travel back there, upon second reload, it looks great. It's nice and clear. It's the image it's supposed to be. So I'm not sure what some of those image issues are. And sometimes they add a lot more color, in my opinion, by adding a lot more greenery and a lot more garbage. There's garbage everywhere. There was garbage in the first one too, but now I feel like, again, I could be misremembering. I feel like there's a lot more garbage everywhere.
It seems like everything is trashed compared to the
everything
first
is trashed, and that's okay. I think it kind of adds to the environment and the atmosphere of the game, but it doesn't look great as you get up close to some of it. The textures aren't great, and I'm playing on the 1X, and so I don't have a lot of lighting issues, but some of the textures are bad. The only other gripe I would say is I have had some audio issues that I experienced in the beta where everything would kind of go silent, or maybe I'll shift to like stereo. So now one side of my, like if I'm playing with headphones in, one side just goes silent and the other one's there. But so I've just experienced some weird audio glitches that typically upon some sort of reload, it fixes and it's fine. So those are minor technical gripes. The game plays really well. So I would say its biggest strength is just in how fun it is moment to moment to take cover and shoot and try all the different guns. And each of the perks are pretty fun that I've tried so far. So overall, I would say the only weaknesses are technical related that either could be fixed or just I have to accept it's not going to be as pretty as Devil May Cry 5, for example. So that's just the way it is. That's okay. Derek, do you have any things that you would point out as weaknesses, or you have to play a little more before you can speak?
No, I would say Dan probably hit it. Like, I don't care about the story, but I haven't watched any of the cutscenes, so I haven't given a chance to care about it, but I'm not going to. I can't think of anything else. I do agree about the lighting, though. There's times where I can't even see the enemies at all. There was like, might have been the first main mission, maybe a second one, but like there's an area where you're in this building and it's real dark. There's like no lighting, barely any lighting, and you cannot see them. The only reason why I saw them is they started running at me. I'm like, holy crap, okay. And I'm in like a lit area. So that's when I saw them, is when they were coming in my area. But other than that, I was like, I can't see you guys. So that's a little annoying. But those are minor gripes. I think it will be fun. I hope I play it more than the original Division. But I'm still, to be honest with you, whenever I have free time, I really just want to play Devil May Cry or Rocket League.
Yeah. So overall, I would say it sounds like we've got positive views on it, and I do plan on playing it more. I don't see why I wouldn't. I don't care about the story. I get it. It's post-apocalyptic, and there's, groups of bad people trying to take all of our stuff, but we're the good people trying to take all their stuff. So whatever. That's usually what it comes down to, is two groups that are battling it out, and you're on a side that just feels like they're the good guys. There have been a couple times when they've said, "You think you're the good guys here?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a good point. Like, we're both just."
Maybe the end of the game's like Far Cry 5, where
maybe they win.
Yeah.
So anyway, I am enjoying it, and I do recommend it for those of you who are on the fence about it. I think it's worth giving it a shot if you like third-person cover-based shooters. It's pretty high quality, and it sounds like probably more doable as a solo game than in the past. But it is easy, in my experience so far, to quickly group up either with randoms. There's a little matchmaking table. I
love the online. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about it. It's made it extremely easy to hop in and jump in with friends, to find my friends playing. And I've had some issues. A couple times my game crashed when I was in a game. We were in the middle of a mission with a friend, and my game crashed. So then I had to restart and log back in, but it dropped me right back into the mission we were in, right with my friend, and we just kept going. And for the most part, it worked pretty flawlessly at launch.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have that issue if you would have bought it on the 1X stand, not the
Probably.
PS4.
I have stupid friends. I don't know why.
You really do have a stupid friend. He's really
at least
dumb.
one. At least one.
He's really dumb.
All right, well, there you go. There's our thoughts on the Division 2 so far. But what else are you playing? Derek, you mentioned Devil May Cry 5. You still playing that? Playing anything else?
Yeah, I'm actually playing 2 playthroughs simultaneously, but I think I'm gonna focus on the PC copy. But I finished mission 10, so I'm on mission 11 on PC, and then I'm on mission 6 on the Xbox. On the Xbox, I'm playing on normal because I told y'all last week I'm not very good at these games, so I started out on easy because I didn't want anything frustrating on PC. So I went ahead when I did the Xbox version. I went ahead and put it on normal, and I'm doing fine on that. So I think I'll probably just beat it on both eventually. But I want to focus on PC right now. I'm kind of taking my time, even when I'm in the missions. Like, even though I'll know where I'm going, I'm constantly looking for maybe something I missed, and I'm trying to always find the secret missions. And then when I find the secret missions, I try to complete them. That's not normal Derek behavior when I play a game. I'm like, focus on the main thing, just go there. I don't care about anything outside of that. So I'm taking my time with this game because I absolutely adore it. Like, maybe it's just, I know it's not because it's a new IP, because it's not. Maybe it's just because I didn't have that high of expectations. In fact, when I bought it, I was like, why did you buy it? You just bought it because you buy games. And I did like the old Devil May Cry games, but not like this. Like, I didn't see this one coming at all. Not like this. And I was even shocked to see, I don't even know if any Devil May Cry game has really reviewed this well. I mean, there might have been Devil May Cry 3 may have gotten in like the low 80s, maybe even the original Devil May Cry. I know Devil May Cry 2 did not, and I don't think Devil May Cry 4 reviewed that great. They're usually pretty good. They're probably high 70s, low 80s, but I didn't see this caliber of game, because like I liked all the original ones. I like Devil May Cry 2 even, but this is the first one where I'm like, this is all I want to play. Yeah. Like, I'll play The Division because it's fun and it's relaxing. It's kind of becoming like my Anthem or Rocket League game, where if I'm not in the mood to play a serious story-driven game, I'll just play the Division 2. But Devil May Cry is just so much fun to play that that's all I want to play. And that's not been normal for me. This is like the first game that I've really been hooked on. Like, as much as I love Resident Evil 2, and I loved playing Resident Evil 2, and I got hooked enough where I wanted to see it through. I think that was because it was a shorter game. Like, if somebody would have said, hey, Resident Evil 2 is like 20 hours long, I probably would have tapped out around 7 or 8 hours and been like, I'm done. But this game, I'm like, no, let's just keep going. And I'm not rushing it. I'm just going through and I'm enjoying the gameplay. And I'm trying to – kind of reminds me of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, as far as I'm actually trying to get better at the game. Like, I actually care to get better. Whereas before, like, for me, a lot of times when I play a game like this, it's just like, figure out a rhythm or a pattern that I can beat all enemies with. Like, I don't care. Just once you get it, you get like systematic, and you're just like, okay, Y, B, Y, and then you're done, because that's all you use. You use 1 or 2 combos, and that's it. This game, I'm like trying to figure out ways to get higher scores, to get better at the game. Where the same thing I did with Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
Well, yeah,
I just
your ranking
wanted to
actually gets you more red orbs, which lets you level stuff up.
Yeah, which is cool. But the reason why I want to get better is not only just to be good at the game, but I love all the freaking moves. Like I just unlocked Dante, and Dante has some of the coolest. Like, he has a trickster style, and he like gets on his backside and starts like swinging on his backside, swinging his legs, doing spin moves and stuff like he's dancing.
Yeah,
like
he'll
that
even
type
say,
of
"You
stuff.
want to dance?" and he'll start spinning.
Yeah, like all this stuff is like crazy. Like, it's probably what Bayonetta is. And I've just never really invested my time in Bayonetta, but it's just got a bunch of like crazy fun stuff. I would
say, I'm glad you brought up Bayonetta. My main thing I want to say about this, because last week we talked in depth about, at least Derek did, and I asked a bunch of questions. He convinced me to get it, and I love it, by the way. I'm on mission 16 on the Xbox One playthrough. I can't put it down. But I do think if you're a Platinum Games fan, if you like stuff like Bayonetta, and if that's always been your jam, then there's no reason to skip this game. It's fantastic. It's really, really fun. Before I talk more about it or ask Derek more about it, I do want to hear, Dan, are you playing this game yet?
No, I'm not playing it. I did play the demo or whatever they had out and thought it was really fun and cool. They're just not typically my kind of games. I don't get into a lot of those Platinum style games, and I've never played Devil May Cry and those things. So, it's a little black mark on my my gaming genres. But
and it's never been the top tier IP. It never has been. Like it's always been one of those ones that's like pretty good and an interesting
You're
one.
gonna trigger Daniel
It
Fred.
sounds fantastic. I mean, I definitely would like to play it. Of those
You'll
style
love
games,
it.
I do
Let me
have.
tell you this: you'll love it because there are, in my opinion, there's enough difficulty challenge there that, but you also have enough to overpower all of that, so it doesn't beat you down like a Dark Souls, which I know you like. But I think there's so much intricacy in all the fighting styles. There's 3 main characters you can control. And at the beginning, you don't get to select 2. And as the game goes on, you get more selection on who you want to fight with. And their styles are all so different. One of them has these, I think Derek talked about this last week too, where Nero has replaceable arms, which is the guy using the demo. And there's so many. She keeps giving you more arms like every mission, basically. And there's so many different arms you can use and rules, and you can unlock additional slots to have more arms and all this kind of stuff. But he has a lot more attacks he can do outside of those too. So Nero's pretty fun. Then you got V, who stays back. You just got to kite around the edge of the battlefield with him and let your 3 demons go and do all the battling for you. And then once the enemies are weak enough, then you dash in.
Which, by the way, Daniel Freitas tagged me in a post yesterday saying that he's like all cool because he got triple S score. Dude, I did that last week with V. Get out of here.
And you did it with Nero. You did it with Nero, which I actually thought was impressive because I haven't gotten triple S with Nero yet. I have with V.
I did it with V.
I did it with V and I did it with Dante. So then they unlock Dante around mission 11. I guess that's where Derek is right now. And dude, whatever you liked about Nero and about V, Dante's better than both of them.
That's what I told Tim. I'm like, there's no way anybody's going to be better in V. V's my dude. And then I'm playing with Dante and I'm like,
dude, Dante is so much fun. He's got 2 different
crap.
kinds of guns to use. He's got these fists that are called the Balrog, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And those are amazing. And you can switch between either a punch or kick attack. Those all have different combos. You have all these different specials you can unlock. Then he has, oh, by the way, Nero's sword, I meant to say this, you can rev it up like an engine. And as you power that up, that does a bunch of bonus damage for a few hits. So he's got a couple things that you're keeping an eye on. And you can detonate your arm at any point and then reload a new one. That's a way to kind of clear the board a little bit if they're crashing in on you. But then with Dante, he's got all these ways that you can build up power. And I don't want to give too much away, but there's a form you can take that is fantastic later, which you're familiar with if you played Devil May Cry before. That has its own set of skills and combos to unlock. And so as you go in to see all these different moves, whether it's different guns, there's a new sword that you unlock later. There's all these moves to unlock. I can't get enough of Dante's fighting style. It's so awesome. And you can, again, like Derek said, by the way, there's also a hat you unlock that has its own set of moves. I won't say too much more about that. It's crazy. And so you can choose however you want to fight. If you like to be jumping around from the edges and just shooting your pistols because you love the pistols, awesome. They've got a whole move set to be a gunslinger, and you can mainly just be shooting from a distance. If you love the sword, no problem. You can jump, and if you like a combo of it. So he's got these 4 different stances you can choose from depending on which one you like. Each of those have their own set of combos and moves. There's so much fighting style in this game, and it has so much fun in it because you can taunt throughout. Each of them have a taunt. And I know Derek last week talked about how, well, there's a little bit of a cheesiness to the cutscenes and stuff. I freaking love the cutscenes. Okay, and I'm someone who usually scoffs at the cheesiness, like, oh boy, here we go. I think they're hilarious. Like, they have each of the characters, like V is just kind of calmly, nothing bothers me, but both Nero and Dante, they make fun of everyone. Every boss they encounter, every enemy, they make fun of them, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. So I will say this, if I could play this entire game again from start to finish, as much as I enjoyed V and as much as I think Nero is pretty cool, all I need is another full game of just playing as Dante, because there's too many options with his fighting style. I won't get to try them all by the time this game's over.
I wonder if once you beat the game, I know
you can pick who you want to fight with.
I wonder if you can. Well, I guess the way the story's done, you can't. I was wondering.
I don't know. I do wonder
kid.
if you'll be able to just pick another mission to try to get a higher score, and maybe you can pick whoever you want. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, that would be cool. But anyways, Dan, I know you play a lot of games, and I know you take like game of the year type stuff serious. You got to play this game. I know. I'm not saying you have to go buy it now because I know you have Kingdom Hearts 3 and Division 2 and stuff like that. But it needs to be on your short list of games you get right away.
Maybe after Sekiro, which comes out this week. I know you're going to play that. Maybe when you wrapped up Sekiro and you're looking for something for the summer, dude.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I just have so much right now. I'll get to it here eventually, but maybe I could save a couple bucks and finish some of the things I'm working on.
So
Or you
tried-
could actually pay your dumb friend who had you buy the Division 2 on PS4. He's got a lot of money that he doesn't use for anything worth shit. Just have him buy you a copy for the Xbox.
For those of you who aren't aware, this somebody is not Derek's alter ego. It's a relative of his, I believe, right? Is that who we're talking about?
It's my Pakistani friend.
Okay. Oh, that friend. Okay, got it. All right. So anyway, I'll stop talking about DMC5. Go back last week if you want to hear a deeper dive into that. But boy, am I loving it! I can't recommend it enough. If you like action games and games that have great graphics and are just fun to play, it is really violent, by the way. And there's it's not that violent though. It's not that violent.
Well, it does. It has that cool like when you finish like because the levels are done like all the other DMC games. You get in an area and it closes it off. You got to beat all the enemies and then the area opens. When you finish off like your last enemy and it's the last hit, the way they do like the slow-mo, almost like a fighting game where you like see Dante or whatever slice the character for the last time and then blood splatters everywhere and then it kind of goes into the celebration. That's pretty graphic. That can get pretty
graphic. Don't get me wrong. There's blood that goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And these are all monsters you're fighting. As far as I can tell, you're not fighting what feels like human beings. And so it's the same thing with something like Doom, which I think is way more violent, by the way. But in Doom, you're smashing these demons and these creatures to bits. And it doesn't, even though, yes, it's violence and there's brains and guts and blood
everywhere. It doesn't have as much impact. It's
not the same thing as when you're playing. Like, I would actually give people more of a caution on violence with something like, I'm totally blanking out on it. The Last of Us. Like some of those moments where you're strangling human beings and stuff like that. That's pretty brutal because that's another human. So that's a little different. So this one I don't think needs as much of the violence warning, although if blood splashing and whatever that bothers you. Overall, really, really fun. And please go play it, everybody.
Oh, and speaking of Bayonetta, I was actually able to get a copy for $5 on PC. So.
Of the original, the first one?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to beat DMC5 and at least boot up Bayonetta. I don't know if I'll play it through, but I'll give it a shot. Beyond what I already did. I think I played it on the Xbox 360, but I played like one mission. I was like, this is not my type of game.
It's good. You might want some in between those two, though, because it's not going to quite hold up, in my opinion. But the second one is a lot closer. The second one's much better. Anything else you're playing, Derek or Dan? Any stuff that you're playing you want to talk about?
I'm just catching up on a few things. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so still working my way through that. I just hit level 46, and I think I'm only like maybe a third of the way through the game.
The game is goat.
And I love it. I think you max out around level 50, or that's where the story caps out, is around level 50.
You're almost at the point where you're not going to get any more XP.
Yep. Which I've been just flying with a ton of XP, but I'm trying to 100% each area, do every activity in an area before.
Are you serious?
That's my goal, is to get all the achievements in the game and 100% every activity.
That game is crazy.
All right, so just buy Devil May Cry 5 in like 2022.
Yeah.
Probably when I'm done. So I think I'm like right around 52 hours in it right now.
Yeah,
so.
it'll be free on your Google console or whatever you're playing that year.
Yep. So, it's going to take a while. So that's kind of, I'm always working at that, just kind of chipping away here and there. I love playing that game. I can just hop in and play a little bit here and there. Otherwise, I did get Kingdom Hearts 3. I did the first level of that, but I've been working my way through the series. So I played a lot of Kingdom Hearts. I'm just kind of putting that on the back burner right now. And
good move.
I'll come back to that a little later. I've really enjoyed the first and second one. I really like the improvements the third one's made and the refinements and the graphics, but I really want to play it when I'm going to enjoy it more.
I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry.
That sounds
Dan,
rough.
I'm sorry, but did someone just die?
It sure sounds like it.
Is it? Are you smoking? Stop smoking.
Oh,
Jeez, weed.
So what I am playing in place of that then basically is just the Division 2. I wanted to hop on that right away, having a good time with that. I'm going to keep going through that. Plan to, do all the story stuff, get to level 30, hit the end game and see where that goes. But I'm enjoying the gameplay loops. There's no reason I won't keep playing that, but just looking forward to Sekiro here at the end of the week.
Yeah, Sekiro, by the way, comes out
Friday.
2nd, which is this Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Which
that
is
is
great because I'm off.
nice. So yeah, most folks I think are excited to at least try it. Although I'm not sure. Like I feel like it's now going to feel really slow and cumbersome compared to Devil May Cry 5. I might need to wait for a little bit in between. We'll see.
Curious to see how it
am too.
plays with stealth and all. It seems more stealthy.
Right.
Yep, it's gonna have stealth aspects and stuff. It's gonna be a lot different than like a Dark Souls game.
Yeah,
so
I'm excited.
I'm interested to see, what it is. Looks good.
So I already talked a lot about Division 2, of course, earlier. That's one thing I'm playing. I'm playing Devil May Cry 5, flying through that one. Got it this week after Derek
Tim froze up.
We lost him.
You're cutting out, Tim, if you can hear us.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
Just disconnect and then come back.
Well, that's weird.
All right, there we go.
Goodbye, Tim.
Now we can have a real show.
I know. Got rid of him and only took what, an hour?
That's crazy. Okay, let's see if he's normal now.
What about now?
We
I
can hear you.
can hear you a little bit.
Only a little bit?
Well, you're not as loud as you were before.
Hello.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
Now you're good.
All right. So already talked about some of the things I've been playing, but I just recently jumped back into Wargroove on the Switch because I just felt like playing some strategy.
Yeah,
After
you felt like you had to play a really bad game because
I did. When I play too many good games, I have to balance it out with garbage.
God.
So I had to do that. No, I wanted some strategy RPG action, and so I jumped back in the Wargroove. That game really does hit a difficulty spike, but thankfully they've updated it to add more checkpoints, and you can have some custom, some saves throughout the missions as well. So because those battles are so lengthy, it's crazy. It can take a long time to finish a battle in Wargroove. So playing that little bit, enjoying it. Still playing Trials Rising. It's a ton of fun. And I also couldn't resist grabbing World of Final Fantasy Maxima on a sale on the Switch. Although I haven't played it yet, I've watched my son play it a little bit. It is pretty adorable, and the visuals are very lovable, and all the little creatures you can catch are cool, and so whatever. So I'm not really playing it yet. Maybe I will, or maybe it's just something that my son will play, and I'll watch him every once in a while. So those are the things that I'm into these days. There are a few things that I wanted to bring up in the news real quick before we wrap it up with our 10 must-own Xbox games and Xbox One exclusives. And by the way, to Dan's question earlier today, yes, there are 10. It's a good question, though. It's a valid question.
I am very excited to find out those 10 games. So I've been looking forward to this.
There's more than 10, and I probably left some off the list, but it's not the same as Derek and I did our top 10 must-own PS4 games a few weeks back. That was a much different list. So anyway, we'll get to that here shortly. But before that, a few pieces of news. There's a game that I've been a little bit cautiously hyped for called Dauntless. It's supposed to be kind of Monster Hunter-esque game that's coming to all platforms. Looks pretty fun, but that just got delayed until the summer. They want to work on some more polish and make sure it's ready. It was supposed to come out, I think, this month. But that got, or maybe April, but that got moved to a more broad summer 2019 release date for the Xbox One and for PS4. It's already playable in its early form on PC, but I think the official release will happen alongside the major consoles this summer. And then they also have Switch and iOS versions coming out supposedly later this year as well. So if you're looking for some Monster Hunter action, Dauntless is coming out later this year. Give that one a look. It is a multiplayer, again, Monster Hunter style game. Castle Crashers, for some reason, their account started getting a bunch of retweets and Facebook shares recently because they are teasing some announcements for this week at the Game Developers Conference. And specifically, they had a couple images, but two that jumped out at me. One of them had 4 PlayStation 4 controllers with different color of the glowing LED lights underneath, one color for each of the knights from Castle Crashers. And then they had 4 Joy-Cons, each with different colors. So I get the feeling Castle Crashers is likely coming to the Switch. It seems like a good fit. That's the only platform that I have right now that I have 4 functioning controllers is the Switch. So I would probably buy it again just so we could play 4-player again, because my Xbox 360 controllers are all under the love and care of my kids, and they are all getting just absolutely trashed. And so those are not surviving, and I only own 2 PS4 and 2 Xbox One controllers so far. So Switch is where we do our 4-player gaming these days. And so I'll probably grab another copy of Castle Crashers if they release it. I'd be way more excited if they went ahead and made a full sequel and just built out a whole new game and made it, updated and whatever else. But it's probably just a re-release, if I had to guess. Also, Google is about to announce something really big this week. I'm really interested to hear what they announce. It's supposed to be some sort of gaming announcement. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are speculating it's a streaming platform. Some people are thinking it's actually going to be a box that you purchase, but that's streaming. A few people think it might be disc-based, but most are saying, no, it's going to be something that's cloud-based. We just don't know what exactly. Is it just a service you subscribe to and you can access it from any system? But what's really interesting is that Jade Raymond, who is a pretty well-known name in the game developer world, she was recently hired as a Google VP without any title given to her specifically. So what do you guys think it's going to be? What's Google going to announce this week, if you had to guess?
The thing I would guess, I mean, like you said, as far as the cloud streaming, it's got to be something like that with their project stream or whatever they were doing. They've been streaming Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you could play it in a Google browser. So they've been doing like a beta for that. So I think this platform is going to have some incorporation of that in some sense. But I also have a sneaking suspicion they're going to have some type of hardware. It sounds like just different people that are involved with this. Their VP of hardware has made some announcements to look forward to this week. So it sounds like they got something, apart from their tablets or phones or whatever, that they're going to have some type of hardware. Maybe it's just a controller that works with your Chrome browser. And,
could be just a controller that, hey, whatever device you use, sync it up with this controller. Okay.
Yep. And then it's nothing more than that. Could be a specialized box where you could go either through a Google browser or a Google box. But I think there's going to be hardware of some time. But I think definitely it's going to be the streaming thing, which I did get into the beta for that streaming thing and played a little Assassin's Creed Odyssey on PC. Now, I never did it with a proper controller or anything, just mouse and keyboard.
And it worked okay?
It worked fine. The lag wasn't as noticeable, but I did have a lot of issues with the bandwidth. For some reason, I couldn't get it working on my laptop at home. It said that my latency wasn't low enough, so I have really good internet and low latency. I mean,
but isn't good for the middle of the country typically different than good for like the edge cities?
Yeah, and typically, but what we have right here is pretty good, even what they would see out there. I mean, I do 150 megabytes down, and usually my ping's under 10 milliseconds. So I mean, it works really good. I had my laptop hardwired, but for whatever reason, when I was doing it through the Google browser, I couldn't get under 70 milliseconds for latency, and it wouldn't let me do it. So I tried it at work and on my work PC, just doing it in my browser there. Got it to work, but there was a little bit of issues with the streaming. And like you said, with different internet connections throughout the country, basing a whole platform on streaming alone might be a little bit of an iffy thing to do.
Well, and here's hoping that none of your bosses are one of our 3 listeners. So,
yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. Derek, what would Google have to do to get your attention with the announcement this week? What do they need to say or announce?
I mean, it's not PC Master Race, so I don't care. But I think it's what Dan said. I think it's going to be both. I think it's going to be a streaming service, but they're going to have their own device that is for that streaming service. But it's not going to be required. It's just going to be for people that don't have everything Google.
I'm going to take it a step further. I think they're taking a page out of Nintendo's playbook with the Switch, and I think they're going to be using their portable Google devices, Google phone or whatever else, and whatever controller, and these things are all supposed to work together. So whatever the device is, it can launch it up onto your TV, and you can stream games in high definition, whatever else, or you can take them on the go. Here's your controller, sync it up with your Google phone, and there you go. Now you can play on the go. That's what I think it's going to be, and it might launch that way and then add on to other platforms down the road, on your iOS devices, whatever else. But I do think it's going to start with buy a Google phone, buy this, maybe not a dock, but buy this box that sits by your TV to kind of launch it from your phone or whatever from the platform, I do think it's going to be something where you can take it on the go as well. Because I think the success of the Switch has gotten the attention of a lot of folks, and I think Google's one of them. So we'll see what happens. That's this week, so we'll find out shortly. Lastly, I just wanted to share that the Assassin's Creed 3 remastered game is going to include not only visual improvements, we all knew that, right? It's going to be remastered to look better, but they're going to add some additional gameplay mechanics. Now, when I first heard this, I got excited. I thought, is it going to play like Odyssey, but it's in the AC3 world? No, it's still going to play like the older Assassin's Creed games, but they're adding some things that made Assassin's Creed 3 feel a little bit lesser compared to, especially when 4 came out. 4 felt so much better. So some of the stealth mechanics that were not in 3 before, they're adding back in, or they're adding in from 4. Some of the stuff with free aiming with long range weapons, that wasn't a feature in that game. Things like that were gripes of that game. They're kind of tweaking it a little bit. They're improving the in-game economy and weapon crafting. They're going to have more options there. So, and more aesthetic items to equip as well. So I think that's cool that they're not just making it prettier, but they're actually trying to make the experience a little bit better. Not quite going to be on par with even like an Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I don't think, but I think it'll be more fun to play. Also, if you happen to get the Switch version, by the way, I don't recommend it if you want big screen. I would recommend PC, Xbox, or PlayStation. But if you want it on the go, get the Switch version, and they are going to have touchscreen functionality for their menu navigation, they said. And some motion controlled aiming stuff too. So, which I think is nice. There are a lot of menus to dig through in those games. So, all right, so that's it. That's all I got for news. Now it's time to buckle up because there are a lot of Xbox One exclusives to talk about here.
Ooh.
So many. So let's help out. Let's call him Joe. Okay, so some guy named Joe who just got himself an Xbox One, and he asked that classic question, guys, what are the 10 games that I couldn't play anywhere else? I don't have a PC. Let's forget about PC for a second. So this is my first Xbox One. I've already got a PS4. I got all the multi-platform stuff there. What should I get for the Xbox One? So let me read you in alphabetical order some of the major exclusives that I could find, and major is maybe a little bit generous, but some of the exclusives that I could find, and then you guys help me fill in the blanks if I'm missing anything. So Ashen, Cuphead. I'm just going to put Forza Horizon, but that could be 2, 3, 4 plus DLC. You guys, if you want, we can specify, hey, we recommend this version of Horizon.
Yeah.
Forza Motorsport, same thing. I think 6 and 7, I think.
5, 6, and 7.
Is it 5 too? Okay, so they had a few entries on the one. Gears of War 4, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo Wars 2. Also, I'm including this one because I think it's an incredible value and they look and play great. The Halo Master Chief Collection. Killer Instinct, multiple seasons there you could get involved with. Ori and the Blind Forest, Quantum Break, Rare Replay, Rise, Son of Rome, Sea of Thieves, Sunset Overdrive, Super Lucky's Tale, and Titanfall. And I left out State of Decay 2 just because it disappointed me. So I left it off the list because I'm already...
You could have included it, but it wouldn't have been a top 10.
It's not top 10. I can't recommend it. So what do you guys think of those games that I mentioned? Which ones jump out at you as, yeah, this is one I would count as if you were going to buy 10 games, this goes on that list. Which one of those jumps out at you? We'll start with Derek. What's one that jumps out at you first?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Yeah, I agree with that. Gorgeous game. Even if you're not really into platformers, it's worth getting because it's not too expensive. And just get the definitive edition, and there's a little bit of an easier mode you can play there. So good.
The Derek mode.
The Derek mode, yeah. Dan, what would you say jumps out at you?
If you've never had an Xbox, like you said, it's a great value. The updates have been very well. It had a really crappy launch, but they've since made up for it. So Master Chief Collection is just something you should own. I'm not the biggest Halo fan, but I definitely have had fun with those games. I've played through the whole series because of that game. I think you get 4 or maybe ODST you have to buy, but you get 4 games. I don't know. It's pretty cheap anymore.
And I think they're adding Reach.
They're adding Reach now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be some DLC or something like that. But Reach was the first Halo game I ever played. So I am excited to get that updated in 4K.
Nice.
I'd never played any of the other ones. So when I did get an Xbox One, I got the Master Chief Collection bundle. And I didn't get it for the multiplayer, thankfully, because none of that worked. But I did start playing Halo 1 through Halo 4 because I wanted to get through those 4 campaigns before I played Halo 5. And
they're pretty fun.
Yeah.
They're good games.
Yeah, it's a good game to have.
I still think they all hold up as really fun first-person shooters to play through personally, and their lore is better than many of the first-person shooters that were coming out at their time. But even now, they did a good job with story, I think. I'm going to say Ashen has to be on that list. Ashen is a Souls-like. I think the art style is really interesting. It might not be your cup of tea, but give it a try. It is really fun to play. They add their own twist on the Dark Souls type of game. And there's enough to upgrade there, and there's enough game to really feel like there's a lot to do, but it's also not so overwhelming. It's not like Bloodborne, where you could put in easily, 50 plus hours. It's one of those ones you could finish in, the 20-hour or less range, maybe even down to 12 hours if you're really good. It just depends on how good you are at it. But Ashen, I recommend adding in. It's a lot of fun. All right, so there's 3 so far: Ori, Halo, the Master Chief Collection, and Ashen. Derek, what else needs to be on the top 10?
Gears of War 4.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Is that your favorite Gears?
It was when I originally played it, but it really isn't. The original Gears is still my favorite, because when I went back and tried to play 4 again, the first 2 chapters are just too, like, killing all those robots was just lame. So I retracted that. I'm going to go with Gears. The original Gears is still my favorite.
Yeah, so if you're going to do that, then maybe a little addendum to that is also get the enhanced edition for the Xbox One. It's a gorgeous remaster of that game. It looks really, really good.
Yeah,
looks better on PC and 4K.
There you go.
I bet it does. I bought that Ultimate Edition, and they gave me Xbox 360 codes for Gears 1, 2, 3, and Judgment.
Oh, yeah, I got those too.
I don't know if that's something they still give out when you buy that, but I have yet to go back. I just played the Ultimate or whatever version of 1, so I've only played Gears 1 and 4, but yeah, I got 2, 3, and Judgment hanging out waiting for me.
So I pulled a Dan Phillips, and I played through the entire series before playing the newest one, right? I wanted to experience the whole thing. And so in the days and weeks leading up to playing through 4, finally, I played the Ultimate Edition of 1, thought it was gorgeous and pretty fun to play. 2, I thought, even though it was technically the 360 version, I think it was Xbox One enhanced, though, backwards compatibility.
2 and 3 right now are Xbox enhanced. They got better frame rates and are in 4K.
And they looked great. So I don't really have a keen eye for that stuff. I don't really go in there and say, which textures are best and what's the frame rate. But my overall take on it was the experiences were all quite good and pretty good looking games. So I enjoyed all those. But 4 to me is my favorite. I think it plays the best and looks the best and has more compelling characters than the first group. Don't get me wrong. I like some of the characters from the other ones, but I think 4 introduces kind of a new way of saying, hey, we're going to take this a little more seriously. And I think they put more care into 4 in terms of story and stuff like that.
Yeah, get rid of the robots. So hopefully Gears of War 5 will be better, because I agree about the story and stuff like that. I think the characters and story are better in 4 than the original trilogy, but those opening 2 acts, it's like, seriously, guys, this is stupid.
Yeah. Dan, what else needs to go on this list? We've got Ashen, Gears, Master Chief Collection, and Ori so far.
I'd say Sunset Overdrive. If you ever played a Ratchet and Clank or Spider-Man on PS4, Insomniac did a hell of a job. It's just crazy, wild, goofy game with awesome traversal, great guns, gadgets, and weapons. Real fun game, and definitely, I don't know if it just got a bad rap or just got overlooked because it was on the one or the Xbox One, but great game.
Yeah, I have that now because I gave it out for free for Games with Gold at one point, and it's really fun. It's got a ton of style, and it's very silly, but it's high quality stuff. I think it's fun to play. You're right. The traversal where you're kind of sliding around all over the place. You're kind of moving nonstop in that game.
Yeah,
if you stay still on the ground, you're going to die. So the whole idea is keep moving and keep shooting, and that keeps it all very fun and crazy. And
that's actually why I disliked it, is because you're constantly moving, and so it made it a pain to try to shoot things. And if you are running around on the ground, you die. You're done.
You do.
Yeah, I liked it. It felt more like Tony Hawk with guns. And
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. And it does make it hard, but like once you get used to playing the game with the traversal, you're not going to headshot every enemy you walk past. And a lot of those weapons can be like area of damage weapons where you're just kind of throwing it out in these mobs of monsters. And I don't know. I found
it's like Jet Set Radio, basically.
Yeah, it kind of is, just with guns. And between that and Ratchet and Clank, is just was a nice mixture of gameplay. I thought it was really unique.
Nice. All right, well, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and here's why I'm doing this. I don't want us to take up multiple spots with the Forza games. So if you pick Forza Horizon, then you can make one recommendation of that. But let's not put 2, 3, and 4 as 3 spots on here. So with that thought in mind, I would like to put Sea of Thieves on this list. I would, and here's why. I think it's with a caveat. If you're going to only play alone, don't get it. If you've got other friends who are also on the Xbox that you can team up with and play, and you guys will be playing consistently for a little while, then get it.
Yeah,
So,
but I played with you and it was boring.
I think that caveat though is a big asterisk to make it an enjoyable game.
yeah, you have to have others to play with. You do. Now, to be fair, I'm a little bit biased on how this game is more fun than people give it credit for, because my whole family, my kids thought it was just the most magical, amazing thing, that you were an actual pirate and you had to do all these little things to get the ship going and change speeds. They thought it was amazing. And so with them being in all of it, that made me enjoy it, I think, a little more. I think if I had just played it alone and I never played with multiplayer and my kids were never in the room, I'd probably think, yeah, this is garbage. What a waste of time. But I'm a little bit biased in the positive way for Sea of Thieves. But the little asterisk I put there is make sure you're playing with friends. Otherwise, it's not worth your time. Playing solo gets boring really quickly. So, Derek, what about you?
I hate that you put Sea of Thieves on there because
there's not that many other games.
There's a legit 10 games that are better than Sea of Thieves. There's more than 10.
I got a couple that I would push for harder than Sea of Thieves.
We can
if we get there.
We'll see if it comes off the list. Go ahead, Derek.
I'm gonna go with Halo 5 Guardians.
Don't people hate that game?
They hate the story.
Dummy.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah.
I actually love the ending. I'm sure Jesse White, if he listens to this show, is gonna make a statement about how the ending is a slap in the face. Jesse White, shut up. Okay, you're not on the show. You can't even rebuttal. So just shut up. The ending is good.
Real quick, just do a back and forth between you and Jesse. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking it's a slap in the. Shut up, Jesse. Just shut up, Jesse. That's it. That's all you get.
That was it. That was the whole thing. All right. So Halo 5 is on there. I assumed it would be, but having not played it, I couldn't really nominate it myself. Dan, what goes on there?
I'd have to say Quantum Break. For what it was an interesting experiment as a game. The game was fun. It had a great time travel story. I mean, I really thought that it didn't get good credit for the story that it had. The gameplay mechanics were solid. The end boss kind of put a sour taste in everybody's mouth at the end of the game, and I completely get it. But I think there's so much quality there between that and the end of the game that it's just kind of, I don't know. I think it got a really bad rep, but it does have some technical issues. You will see some frame rate tearing and stuff here and there. It's not always the prettiest looking game. You get some pixelation and lighting, but it is a fairly good looking game. And if you're playing it on the X, it's got enough improvements that make it look much better than a base Xbox. But
yeah.
But still, it's a lot of fun to play. The guns, the superpowers, stringing everything together. I mean, that game is a blast with an excellent time travel story attached to it. Whatever game they're putting out on PS4, I think is later this year. I forget what it's called, but you're going to have like similar type powers. Whatever that was. Look forward to it. I think
it's called Control.
Control. There you go.
That's
and they did an excellent job with Quantum Break. It is a fantastic game. Definitely, if you have an Xbox, you should play it.
I've got it downloaded from Game Pass, and I just haven't fired it up yet. I need to.
The TV show, take it or leave it. It's up to you. I think there are 20-minute TV episodes that you're going to watch after certain chapters, and in between things, it's going to take up more hard drive space. If you're downloading them, you can stream them too. And it's basically side stories, backstories, stuff that's going on in and around your main. Isn't it just
basically glorified cutscenes that they just happen to be acted by real people? I mean,
yeah, but it's not necessarily like if you skipped all the TV and you just focused on the story they're giving you in the game, you would have a complete story there and be very much enjoyable. So take it or leave it. I enjoyed the TV stuff, thought it was neat. A 20-minute little thing here. I watched them all, and you get to make different decisions, and stuff you do in the game will determine like how those little TV shows play out. So it's kind of cool. It has a little bit of choice. So I haven't made it through a second playthrough to see if I can make, different choices and how it affects everything. But it's a ton of fun to play.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I think it was a cool experience and even an experiment. But I do think that ultimately the experiment kind of failed. I think it got too much backlash for the TV show portion of it, which I thought was good. I will say real quick so we can move on. I do feel like when you look at like these Xbox games, and Quantum Break's a great example. Like Quantum Break to me is like something you would think you would see on the PlayStation, but it's just not at the level. So this is a compliment to the PlayStation first party exclusives. Those style games, Sony clearly has some ability with their studios to create games that not only have the action and gameplay down, but they also have the story and the character development, all that. They just nail it. Whereas when I look at these Xbox lists, I'm like, that's a good game. That's a good game. There's always like a blatant weakness to it. Like Gears of War 4, I can pick it apart for like stuff that actually matters, not just nitpicking it. Halo 5, I can pick it apart. Quantum Break. I would say the only game I would consider even close to perfect on this list is Ori and the Blind Forest. So anyways, the point I'm making is there's good games here, but all of them have like major flaws. And that was my issue with Quantum Break. Like I went into it really hyped. I remember the year it came out, I was like, this is the game I want so bad. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. And anybody that knows me knows that I actually prefer Xbox over PlayStation, yet I continually have to say the same thing over and over. Xbox overall is a letdown with a lot of their first-party exclusives compared to, or even in this case, I'm talking really a third-party exclusive, but all their exclusives compared to like Sony and even Nintendo. So,
yeah,
I just wanted to go on.
Although I will say the one I'm about to add essentially has no flaws in my mind, and that's Forza Horizon 4. I can't think of a way that they could do the racing and driving element of that much better. I think
they have terrible dancing moves. That's all I got.
They do. Yeah, sure.
Well, one thing about, and I loved 4. I thought it was great what they did with the seasons and everything. But, like you were saying, we don't want to have multiple Horizons on this list. I think 3 was a little bit stronger, just maybe in some of the diversity of the open world. And I know we haven't gotten all the DLC and stuff for 4 yet, but Forza Horizon 3 and the Hot Wheels DLC.
Ooh, Hot Wheels was fun.
You just can't get much more of it is a real fun, it's not an arcadey racer, it's not a sim racer, it's just this really cool open world.
Although Fortune Island in 4 was pretty good. I did explore around there a little bit. Fortune Island was pretty fun. But here's the thing with 3. wouldn't mind if they got 2 or even, because you're going to get those for much cheaper, and you're going to get like the full versions where you have all the DLC included for much, much cheaper. So if money is an issue for this person who's, loading up with their Xbox One, I would say, sure, get one of the older ones. 3 might be the best of these 3 Forza Horizon entries, but 4 is the most recent. It's going to give you maybe that slight edge in visuals and performance, and it's just the newest one. It's just the newest one, and you're going to have most people playing it. But I like the environment a lot more of the base game. I like the environment a lot more, and I do like the seasons that they incorporate. But get a Forza Horizon game. It doesn't. I mean, even if you just picked up 2 because you got it for $2, fine. Get a Forza Horizon game if you own an Xbox. It's even
the original is 4K now, and it looks great.
Yeah, it's a must own. All right, so now that I'm seeing the ones that we left off, I did bad math. We can't have Sea of Thieves on here. So let me just say this caveat: if you could get it for free, then go play it with friends. But I'm going to backtrack what I said before. It's tough to recommend it over even something like if you've got kids. Super Lucky's Tale is actually a pretty decent kid-friendly platforming game. I wouldn't recommend it for other adults to play. Like Ratchet and Clank, I would, because that was really good. Super Lucky's Tale, not really fun for adults to play, but for kids, it's a blast. But even something like Halo Wars 2, which I played briefly, a better game than Sea of Thieves. Cuphead, which isn't really my favorite type of game. I found it to be a little bit too obtuse and difficult, but I think that's probably a better game than Sea of Thieves. And those are ones that we've left off so far. So what do you guys think we should include in there as the 10th must-own game for the Xbox One? We've still got...
For me, it's between Killer Instinct, Rise, and Titanfall. Now, I know you guys aren't going to vote for Killer Instinct, so I'm not going to fight for it, but I will say this because you both aren't into fighters. Killer Instinct is one of the best fighters out there. It's just super fun. It has a great roster. They did it in seasons, so they just kept adding on and adding on to characters. They kept it alive for a while. I think it's kind of dead now, but it ended up being a pretty amazing game, especially since I went probably 20 years without a Killer Instinct game. But for me, between Rise and Titanfall, I would pick Titanfall, even though Titanfall 2 is better.
It is.
At the time, Titanfall, when it came out, was exclusive, and a lot of little PlayStation fanboys that kept acting like it's not a big deal, but it was. It was.
That was a huge deal. Yeah.
It was an amazing multiplayer shooter made by the guys who did the best Call of Duties. So I would say Titanfall should be on that list.
If that first Titanfall game had been the Titanfall 2 experience, where you've got a 6-hour campaign to go along with the really robust multiplayer, I think it would have gotten a lot more love and a lot less hate. But because it came out as essentially a multiplayer game only, it got shot down pretty soundly. I wouldn't be opposed to putting Killer Instinct on this list, and my justification for that is I feel like when you're making a top 10 must-own game list, I want to have some variety in there, and this adds a big missing piece, and that is a versus fighting game. So we've got some Souls-like, we've got some action RPGs, some first-person shooters, third-person shooters, some platforming, and then whatever Quantum Break is, weird drama, as well as third-person action, whatever else.
Action.
So that's why I wouldn't add something like Rise, or since we've already got first-person going, I wouldn't add Titanfall. I think Killer Instinct would kind of help round out the list a bit. Either that or Halo Wars 2. Those are the two that I'm looking at as ones that I would consider adding.
What do you got, Dan?
I'm kind of with Tim. I was thinking either Halo Wars 2 or probably going with Killer Instinct.
Yeah, let's do Killer Instinct then. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm good with that.
I didn't expect
I've had fun with it. I'm not a fighting game guy, but I don't know if I got the first season or whatever for free.
I think the first season was free with gold.
Yep. I think somehow I got it, and I played it for a while with some friends, and yeah, it was darn good. I liked it.
Yeah, it is really good. I remember playing it back on the Super Nintendo, by the way. That was the first time I played, or was it N64?
Yep. No, Super Nintendo.
Was it Super Nintendo first? Okay.
The original came out on Super Nintendo. Killer Instinct Gold, which was basically Killer Instinct 2, came out on the N64.
Yeah, I loved those games. I always thought Glacier was awesome, and was it Jago and those? I thought that was awesome.
The only thing that's a letdown about this one is they didn't have any finisher moves, but the combo system, the graphics, the gameplay, top notch. Like it was AAA top notch. But like I said, I really wish they would have done. I wish they would have gone to the next level and been kind of like Mortal Kombat and just go, hey, Killer Instinct when it was on Nintendo was soft. We're gonna go hardcore and we're gonna rip some people in half and stuff like that, and they didn't do it. They said they were going to add finishing moves, but they never did it, as far as I know.
Wait, did I do math? I think I did math wrong again. We've got Ashen, Forza Horizon. Pick one.
Yeah, we only have 9 because you
Gears
took
of War,
CFDs off.
Halo 5, Halo Master Chief Collection. Killer Instinct was kind of our group. Let's make another group pick then outside of Killer Instinct. So the reason go ahead.
No, what about Rare Replay? Was that on your list?
It's on here, but we didn't highlight it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Rare Replay. I've played through a bunch of those games, again, because with Game Pass, you had access to it. And the presentation of it is amazing. I mean, if you're a fan of retro games, the presentation and the collection here is awesome. You can go back to these really old arcade games where they clearly reused a lot of tech to try to create these new experiences. And it's kind of a fun blast from the past. And it's one of those ones that my kids tried out these old arcade games. We're all laughing at how silly it looks. And some of them still play okay, but most of it, you're not going to sit and play it very long until you get to some of the later games. And even those you might not. So I think Rare Replay is a cool collection, and that might round out someone's, here's my 10 games I own, pretty well. The only reason I'd be okay with it is because there's not a ton of super strong games left. Like with PS4, we were leaving out some pretty amazing games on our top 10 list. With this one, it's all kind of in my personal opinion, it's all in that 7 out of 10 range at best with what's left. So I'd be okay with it. I think it's a fun one if you're a retro gamer. You know, if you've played games back in the day in like arcade and old school stuff. Some of the Battletoads stuff doesn't hold up as well as you might think. But again, it's fun to go back and experience it, you know. But I don't know. Derek, what do you think?
No, I wouldn't put it on top 10. I enjoyed, going back and playing some of those games just to check them out, but
yeah,
I didn't last longer.
What's cool is that the way, they have these little challenges for each game. It's not achievements, really. There are some achievements, of course, but they have these little challenges for each game. Finish it under this time, and you can see your friends and leaderboards. And I think they add some cool stuff to it. And so I do think it's they did a good job at putting together a great package of old games. But it's hard for me to put it on the top.
I feel like Banjo Kazooie and Perfect Dark, and was it Viva Pinata?
So those would be some of the more like modern ones, the Viva Pinata games and the Perfect Dark Zero. Those are ones that hold up a little more.
Conquer there in there.
Conquer's in there, yeah. Yep.
To me, it comes down to unless you guys want to put Cuphead on there, because I know it technically reviewed better and everything.
I had fun with it. It is a really precise, precision game, but the difficulty was too much. I couldn't even get past, once I got to the second island. I think there's 3 islands in the game. I couldn't.
Dude, that's where I got stuck too, a second island. I was like, I'm not having fun anymore.
No, so I kind of left it. My daughter plays it more than I do, but she plays it on the easy difficulty, and I think she's made it a bit further into that second island. But it's tough. It's hard.
I don't know. To me, it's between Titanfall and Rise, Son of Rome. And I think Rise is actually way better than what people give it credit for.
Yeah,
it was repetitive? Sure, but it had some fun combat, simple combat. I like the finishing moves and all that stuff. It had a good story. Like, I enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me of like The Order 1886, where they had the potential for something amazing, and then and this is typical Xbox, they just left it. It's like, oh, it didn't do as well. Well, okay, make it better on the second go around, and maybe you'll have like this franchise. But again, this wasn't a first party studio. It was Crytek, I think. So there was all those issues. But for me, it's between, on this list, what's left. Personally, it's between Rise and Titanfall. And I'm
gonna nominate one that we haven't talked about yet that I totally forgot. That's Recore.
I couldn't put all right. I really enjoyed Recore up until I got to the end of the game, and that's what makes it so hard for me to recommend Recore. It's got some pretty decent gameplay to it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It works well. Yeah. It has some minor technical issues, but
did you play the updated version? They kind of did okay, we're gonna fix this up a little bit, and I haven't played it since then, but.
I would like to go back. So I got up to the end of the game, and you collect these power orbs throughout the game, and you upgrade your different bots and stuff with them. I got to the end of the game, and I had, I don't know, 20 of these power orbs. You find them throughout the environment, exploring and stuff like that. And then to unlock the door to the next boss, I think I needed 20 more. And it's like, wait, I've just played like 20 hours and they're it's not like they're prevalent everywhere. You barely find these in the game, and it's like there's very few places you can get these. So it's like you got to go back to the game and everywhere that you've already been and try to find and scrape together, a few more. And then once you get those 20 and you make it past that boss, then you need to go get another 10 more to make it to the final boss.
Yeah, that's
so it's like, because the last level is like this tower thing where you got to progress through the tiers. I made it past the first tier, and then the second one, I needed all these orbs I didn't have, and then I read that the third one, you need even more. And it's like,
I only played through maybe 3 hours of that game or so, but I had a lot of fun with it. But the way you're describing the ending could kind of kill the joy.
Had a lot of fun. Yeah, 15 hours I think I put into that game. 16, maybe closer to 20 by the time.
Did you finish it, or did you kind of give up at the end?
No. Once I got to that end thing and I was at that grind for those orbs, it's like I'm saying, okay, I finished this game. To me, I'm done with it because the barrier to finish it, you'd almost have to put in just as much time, and I wouldn't have a problem with that if there was more stuff to do, but it's everything that I've already done, all the areas I've already been to, and it just felt like the last third of that game was empty. It just wasn't finished. It's like there should have been so much more activities. If you had all these activities to do to collect these orbs to go through this tower, it could have been interesting and fun, and it just the end of the game wasn't there in my opinion.
All right, well, you got me convinced. And on the other side, the only reason I have a bias against Titanfall is because I really don't think it's a great complete game. I think Titanfall 2 is the way to go if you're interested in first-person mech combat. So I'm feeling Rise, even though I haven't played it, based on what Derek said. I'm feeling Rise.
With Rise, the nice thing about it, it was slightly repetitive in the combat. It had some quick time events for like finishers, but it looked really cool. The combat looked really good. It ran smooth. It looked gorgeous, and not a lot of games did that really well on the original Xbox One hardware. Yeah. And these guys did a killer job with it, so it was a showpiece. And technically, getting games to run that good on an original Xbox, it was difficult, but this ran smooth and still looked good. So I think it had a lot of good things for it. The story was fine. Like Derek said, it kind of fell apart towards the end. It could have been something a lot cooler if it had a little more depth with the RPG elements or the mechanics or combos or something. But it was a fun game. They should have made a second one and really, doubled down on it. But
based on how cheap
you can overextend it. I was going to say it doesn't overstay its welcome.
No,
like it's like a 7-8 hour game, and you're like, cool. That's for being repetitive. Thank you for not making this a 20-hour game.
But see, since it was a launch game, and so when people saw that it was that short of a game, they really knocked it for that. But I think now that, of course, the systems have been out for several years, it's not as big of a knock on it anymore, that it's kind of a shorter experience.
Yeah, go into it going, hey, this is kind of like a Melee, The Order 1886, and you'll, I think, enjoy it. Granted, it's not going to look as good as Dan and I remember it, and that's because I know I played it day one, so I don't know when Dan played it. But it's
right away when I got my Xbox.
Yeah, it's a 900p game, so it's not even close to what we're used to.
They haven't upgraded it to the 1X?
I don't know.
I don't think
they haven't.
They made it. I don't think so. I have it on PC, so I could play it at 4K, but it's for regular Xbox and even your 1X, it's going to run at like 900p, maybe 1080p. Maybe with the 1X, it might jump it to 1080p, but it's not going to be a 4K game.
All right. Well, then this is the 10 games that we recommend. Here's our list for those of you who might go out and buy yourself an Xbox One. Most of these you can get for relatively cheap, if not free, via Game Pass or something like that. So get yourself Ashen, Forza Horizon. I recommend 4, but if you want to save some money, get 2 or 3. They're all great. Gears of War 4, Halo 5 Guardians, Halo the Master Chief Collection. Play that one first and then play Halo 5. Killer Instinct, Ori and the Blind Forest, Quantum Break, Rise, Son of Rome, and Sunset Overdrive. And if you're a close friend of mine, I would quietly whisper to you, also go get Sea of Thieves. Just don't tell anyone that you like it because they'll judge you. But it is kind of fun.
And these are fun to put together and everything, but honestly on Xbox anymore, if you are to just get one, the best thing you could probably do is just get Game Pass. You get a lot of the
great, yes.
You get all their new first-party games, a lot of their ones that have already come out, and as a great catalog.
I would say, I think most of these games we just talked about are available on there. I'm pretty sure.
We didn't even talk about Crackdown 3.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys actually put that on the list?
I don't know. It's fun, but I don't know that it's a must-have.
I knew I was missing a reason. Thank you. People listening are probably like, finally, we've been saying it the whole time. Yeah, no, I actually don't think I would. To me, it's sitting at that 7 out of 10 range where I personally wouldn't have put something like Killer Instinct on the list. So if I would have knocked something like Killer Instinct and maybe Rise off the list, it might make the list for me. But for our combined list, I don't think it needs to be on there.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, but it is a decent game, and if you can get it on a steep sale or if you have Game Pass, it's worth a download.
Crackdown 3 to me represents what I said earlier about Xbox. It's like they have the potential to make great games, and overall they make fun games. They just don't make great. And when I say great, I'm talking about they don't combine everything. There's always something missing. There's something you're like, why are you incompetent? Like, why can't you make games like Sony? Clearly, that is your competition.
With a few exceptions. Like, I think Forza and Ori, like you mentioned earlier, are some of the exceptions to that. But you're right. For the most part, most of their IP, whether it's a story in Halo or some missteps in a Gears game, they just don't quite nail it. Like something like God of War on PS4. I can't think of one thing about that game that I would change because I think it's so mind-blowingly amazing. So things like that, they haven't delivered that type of thing yet, which I'm hoping they do. They just haven't yet.
I don't think it's going to happen this gen. I think,
No.
I think everything's out there. They got Halo 5 coming out. I think the story is going to be much more emotional and impactful than 4 was, but I still don't know if it's going to quite be on that level. I think.
You mean 6? Like the new Halo Infinite?
Or no, I'm sorry. I meant Gears of War 5.
Oh, okay,
Gears.
Gears.
Gears of War 5, not Halo. So they got Gears of War probably coming out this fall.
Probably.
And that might be something, but I still don't think it's going to be like something like God of War was. Or
by the way, Gears 5 might be their last major first-party exclusive before their next console.
I think what they need to do with Halo and Gears of War is I'm not saying completely change them, but I think it's time. People are getting tired of the same formula. They have to make some type of gameplay update. Whether they make Gears more RPG, like throw in some RPG elements or customization. Yep. Same thing with like Halo. Don't just have customization for multiplayer. Start adding it into your single player and co-op campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean there's no reason Gears of War 5 shouldn't have like skill trees or something like that, or something to make it feel like you're progressing and getting better as you go, not just changing out interchangeable weapons.
What you guys are suggesting is that Microsoft take a risk with their known quantity. And that's why I think PS4 has been so successful. That's why I think Nintendo at times is really successful with Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Zelda.
Yeah, so they're taking risks with their known IP, knowing that if they have to, they could revert back, but they're just giving something a shot, and they're putting it in the hands of these creators and letting them do it. I feel like with Microsoft, they say they want to do that. Phil Spencer talks a big game, but they just haven't really shown that they're doing that yet. But hopefully they will soon. But there you guys go. There's some games and a couple of honorable mentions, things like Crackdown 3, Cuphead, and Sea of Thieves. Again, those are all contingent on if you've got certain circumstances going on. Do you love difficult games? Get Cuphead. Do you want to just blow stuff up and you don't care if it's silly and dumb? Get Crackdown 3. Do you have a lot of friends and you like the idea of being a pirate? Go play Sea of Thieves. So there you go. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up. Some things that I suggest you buy this week. If you've got the money to spend, go get Sekiro. I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet. This is going to be a high quality game.
It's going to be amazing.
I would be shocked. This is one of the biggest shocks if it came out and it was anything less than great. Like, I don't even mean just good. Like, if this is anything less than great, I will be very, very surprised. Also, if you've got a Switch, you can get Unravel 2 this week if you want to get some co-op side-scrolling going on, and as well as Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon if you want some lovable, adorable RPG action. Those are the only games of note that are coming out this week that I noticed. Otherwise, go get you some Division 2. Maybe go buy Game Pass and try out a ton of games that are on there. And that's it. That's all I got. Derek already fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm out.
Derek's out. Listen, Dan, thanks for taking time to hang out with us and talk tonight. Appreciate it, man.
You guys, it's been fun.
Yeah, and Derek, make sure your daughter cuts the habit. Smoking is not a joke.
At least cut back a pack a day. I mean, geez.
Yeah. She has nothing to live for, guys. Stop dressing gay, Derek. Thank you.
Let him be who he is, okay? Tell her that I said that. All right.
I love my kids.
See you guys next time. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
All right, there you guys.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?